Hey, welcome into this kind of case study overview of what's it like running a service-based business, maybe specifically a roofing business when you're trying to focus on financials and get your feet under you. I'm really excited today, sitting down with a now I don't know if I can call you good friend yet or not. We're at least
Yeah,
great
for sure.
acquaintances. We've spent way too much time together at this point, but with
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson, the owner of Right Roofing. Ryan's been in this business for, he's just saying, 27 years, but has weathered a lot of ups and downs in the industry, especially lately. And so we wanted to bring him on to talk through, hey, what has this experience been like as we've worked together getting a handle on finances? And Ryan, I'd love for you to set the stage a little bit of who you are, a little about your business, and how you got to where you're at right now over 27 years. Just set the stage a little bit
Sure.
of your story.
So um, it started out just learning the trade, right? You got to learn the skills. Once I got a handle on that, I saw some errors on who I was working for. Not errors, but different direction that I always felt that I wanted to take it. So I learned the business. I started getting out on my own. How do you get out on your own when you don't know anybody and you're not going to steal anybody's business, started marketing, hired a marketing company, didn't have much of a budget at all. I had, two little kids at home, new house, all the financial stress that you could imagine, and then trying to whittle away what can I actually put away for marketing. Started marketing. I think my main focus, honestly, for probably the first like 10 plus years was, just getting sales, just sell a job, be profitable on that job. And then I kind of learned everything else painfully as I went. Paying too much, not hiring the right characters. Um, and we had good sustained slow growth. I mean, we just slowly grew every single year. Um, I don't think it was probably until about 2019 that I actually thought or even cared about my books. Um, Hired a consultant. That was probably the first bridge that we covered, but it was pretty entry level at that point. It was just getting a handle on the P&L, kind of what that looked like, and I had an office manager at that time, kind of controlling that. But still, I was still pretty focused in the sales part of it. So um, I'm just out trying to be profitable on every single job. It'll all wash out in the end, and that was pretty much my theory. Um, so 2019 got a better handle on it, a little bit more focus on where we wanted to go. And we had come up with a few like spreadsheets and stuff that was pretty helpful, that gave a little bit of clarity onto it. And then last year, we started to focus a little bit more on commercial work. Well, some of the accounting processes for commercial work require accrual accounting. And so then what I thought I had a handle on, I absolutely had no idea again. So that's when I basically stumbled across CEO Finance and wanted to achieve that clarity in my business with the financials.
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead, Will.
I was just going to say, what did that feel like in being in a spot where you felt like you had a handle on the business, but then things changed, and now it's like, I don't anymore. What did that feel like as an owner?
Just like another hurdle that I'd been through a million times, like, oh, this is painful. And now I have to dig in. I have to get this figured out to get this clarity, to be able to hand stuff off and to be able to manage my business by the numbers and just be a business owner, which is
Yeah,
really always what I've wanted.
yeah. And for context, can you tell us kind of how big you are as a business and what kinds of things you actually do?
So we do about $10 million in revenue, give or take every year. Um, so we do roofing, we do siding, and then we do commercial work as well, and then service. So that would be any type of repairs, either residential on your house's exterior or commercial service work and repairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you also had mentioned that as you were looking in, 2024 and trying to navigate the new waters of the accrual stuff, there had also been some industry shifts for you lately, right?
Big changes. I think I was kind of preparing for those changes just with sales staff, trying to get the guys. It's been really easy for like the last at least 10, if not almost 15 years. Basically, you could fall out of bed and get a lead. It was super easy. The market started to shift. 2020 kind of delayed it a little bit. We had some pretty big storms in our area, so it kind of delayed it. But we could just see kind of economically that things were gonna ready to shift for us. Um, 2022, the end of 22, it started to shift. The insurance companies really changed a lot. What they were paying for, there was kind of a lot of chicanery going on in the insurance world. And so they were basically trying to reverse course from what the insurance companies had been paying out on and what they typically are going to be now. So we kind of started to see that shift. Um, we had a pretty big division that had grown a lot in the last 3 to 5 years of property management. So you get these big projects that are all insurance claims, and they were all high profit. Once you landed one, they were really good profit. So it really bolstered our numbers. Well, insurance companies are fighting that with higher deductibles. The deductible was the cost of doing the entire roof, so it kind of turned it around to a race to the bottom. So we knew that shift was coming. We kind of saw that, and that's when we decided to start the commercial division to kind of offset that, to keep everything where it is, so we could keep our key employees.
Yeah. So as you've been navigating those industry changes and then the accrual differences and getting a handle on your numbers, I guess what specific things in your business were you feeling like, wow, I don't have as good a handle on as I would really want from a number standpoint?
Well, there's a lot of things. So yeah, that's a tough one. Can you ask me that again, Will? I'm sure
Yeah.
you did
No, you're
that.
fine. So then, as you're thinking about, I want to get a better handle on my numbers and my finances, and maybe I'm a little bit cloudy on some stuff that I used to know better, and I feel like I should know it better now. What financial metrics or numbers were you feeling like you were maybe a little more fuzzy on than you wanted to be as you were thinking about working with us back, 6 months ago or so?
Well, it was like jobs in progress, and how much money I actually had out on those jobs in progress. That was probably the biggest part of it. I never really worried about it month to month. I pretty much just worried about it year to year. I'd always built up enough cash flow that I didn't really pull that much money out of my business ever. So it was pretty much in there running my business. But back in, I think, 22, it kind of felt silly to be using all my money to run the business. And as you think about bringing on a partner or something, it's kind of almost really not fair to myself that I'm sitting here cash flowing it. You know what I mean? Instead of using somebody else's money when I could be making quite a bit more money financially with my financial advisor or investments, that I could like double or triple my money. And
Yeah.
that was pretty much the biggest key there.
Yeah. So you started navigating then, lines of credit and the cash flow situation of bouncing back and forth between there. Uh, as we started working together, what what numbers did you start to find helpful, or clarity did you start to find helpful that we were getting as we kind of first started diving into the numbers together? What things were like, this is useful. This is really starting to help me get a better handle on things.
Uh, I think the spreadsheet, the gross margin one, where you first start out on, it actually looks a lot better than I thought it would be. And then just separating out what actually scales with sales, that's super helpful. Um, and then the revenue trends. That was a pretty big one. That's one we use quite a bit for goal setting. Just separating out the different revenue streams of the businesses, to actually see. We were able to see when we started going through that and splitting that stuff out, that kind of lots of years of experience in the industry, stuff that I kind of knew, but to actually be able to see it on paper to, get some clarity on all that stuff was pretty big for us. And then we could actually start to see that those moves that we made from taking away from property management and trying to bolster up the commercial side, that it was actually working, without just kind of guessing and kind of at a gut level knowing.
Yeah, that difference of, hey, I'm shooting from the hip because I think it's like this versus I quantified it now. You did such a good job pulling data from, your CRM into it, comparing against P&L. It's really cool to see all those data sources coming together for you to get
Yeah.
that clarity on, this is where we're really at moving forward. For someone who's maybe like you and in the boat of thinking, well, what is this actually like? Like functionally, what does it feel like? Am I thrown out to the wolves to do it all myself? Is it, what's sort of the experience like if you had to tell someone, hey, this is what we actually do together? What does it feel like? What do you actually do as we work together in CEO Finance Academy from your perspective?
It's really bite sized. So it's just piece by piece, like getting a handle of the P&L, making sure everything's getting categorized out. I think one of the biggest things I learned is that the accountant or bookkeeper isn't, they're just kind of guessing a lot, right? And you basically really have to stay on top of that bookkeeper every month. Otherwise, I think it's, you said this, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? If you're not squeaking about it, nothing's going to change. And then it gets really messy really quickly. And then your clarity just slips away from you really fast.
Yeah. And
But the system itself is amazing because it's bite sized. It's 5 to 10 minute videos to kind of walk you through that you can go back through again as you're revisiting them. I think we've been doing this like 8 months or something right now. It's still a lot is pretty gray, but I'm finding the tools that are super useful for me. And then I can go back at any time and just kind of bone up on any of those areas that I need to. So the learning process of it is set up really super well.
we appreciate hearing that. And just find that with something like finance, kind of has to be bite-sized chunks because as an owner, you're busy. You've got lots of wheels that you're, trying to keep spinning. There's fires that you're putting out everywhere, and sometimes finance and the money and numbers side of things kind of gets put last.
Yeah.
And we often tend to avoid it as owners because it's not something we're usually inherently great at
Yeah.
as we start off. And you've done a great job adapting and learning. And I'm curious now, what I guess either tools or processes that we worked on together do you feel like you're going to use going forward? I guess how are they going to be useful now in the next year for you as you look at, okay, we've done all this work to get clarity. How do you see yourself now using the tools and that clarity that you've gotten for growing the business moving forward?
Goal setting for each division, which really helps break it down, especially we're early into February here, so we're heavy into the goal setting. Um, Setting each of the division leads down, showing them this is kind of how we've progressed, you know what I mean? And this is kind of what we're looking for. So the goal setting part of it is pretty critical for managing everybody around us. And as we hit those benchmarks, it's success, it's wins for the guys. I can show them that on our spreadsheets, and the goal setting is probably the biggest part of it.
Yeah, I love that. Last thing, for someone who's wondering what the quote unquote ROI is, we get asked this a lot, and I actually hear a lot of different answers from our owners, which it always intrigues me. What do you feel like the ROI is or is going to be for you? And sometimes it's like, oh, it's this dollar amount, but sometimes it's like I can't put an exact dollar amount to this. In your mind, though, what does that ROI look like for having invested both time and money to go get a real handle on your finances moving forward? How would you sort of quantify or explain your ROI in having gone through this now?
I think that just from being in every part of the business, I think I was probably about 80 to 85% there. After I went through the process, I was probably like 75, 80% there, you know. But ROI, it's got to be in that 10 to 15% range. Am I picking up the full 100% now? No, but I definitely have gained at least a 10 to 15% more clarity on my business that's going to translate right to the bottom line.
Yeah. And now it's been cool to see you as your
That's amazing. Changing a 1 or 2% here, being able to do the same amount of business and actually increase your profit over that same amount of business. So it's not actually always about the growth of it, but it's just about that little tweaks and stuff that we can do. It's going to actually, hey, maybe I'm going to be a lot happier here, doing less without the chaos that comes up with that extra $1 million of business, and be able to have a better life for my staff, you know,
yeah.
and they're happier and more productive on top of it.
Yeah. Win-win-win. You got to love when everyone ends up moving up in that sense. Good stuff. Well, Ryan, thank you so much. I guess we'll end with this. Let's say that someone else who maybe owns a roofing or construction company comes to you and is like, "Hey, what was the experience like in CEO Finance Academy? Is it worth it? Would you recommend it? Are you, you know, like realistically?" And I know this is hard because I'm the one asking you this question here.
Yeah.
But realistically, if you were sitting across the table from someone else and they asked you, like, "Okay, Ryan, talk me through this. How do I decide if this is right for me or not?" Like, what would you tell someone?
Um, Knowing your numbers is critical, and I think people think they know their numbers, but they really don't. I think the tools that you guys bring is invaluable to our company now. I don't know exactly how I would actually manage the business without the tools that we got through CEO Finance. So it's just amazing the clarity that this kind of financial schooling brings to my business.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate your time, man. Hey, and if someone wants to check you out and see, like, hey, what kinds of things are you guys up to? Maybe your business website or sort of where they can find the stuff that you guys are up to as a
Sure.
company. Where would they find you?
Yep, just rightroofing.com is the easiest way to check us out. So, and we're pretty easy to get a hold of. So,
Ryan, thank you. Appreciate your time today and sort of giving us the inside scoop on what it's like running a company like yours
yeah,
through our processes. Appreciate you, man.
no problem.